Sawadee-kap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program, and we're going to be doing guided breathing mindfulness meditation together. This is the part of the group learning program for where, from this point forward, we're going to be rotating between breathing mindfulness meditation one week and loving kindness meditation the next week. And then I'm going to be opening up at the end of each meditation to just any and all questions that you guys have. Because over the last 3 months, I did a 4-part series on breathing mindfulness meditation, helping students to build that up. I did a 4-part series on loving kindness meditation, helping students to build that up. And I did a 4-part series on Buddhist chanting, helping students to build that up. So now we're just going to be implementing this every single Wednesday with breathing mindfulness meditation one day, and then the next week we're going to be doing loving kindness meditation. And then any and all questions that you guys have, just random questions that could be about anything and everything, whether it's meditation or the path to enlightenment or certain struggles or challenges that you're having, you can always come on Wednesdays and ask any and all questions that you like. I won't actually be presenting any particular topic because it's just going to be doing meditation together, and then we're going to open up to any and all questions. So welcome to all of you, whether you're joining for the first time or you're joining regularly. If you'd like to join for meditation, I'm going to start with some chanting to ease us into the meditation. You guys are welcome to join along in this. Then I'm going to come in with some guidance for the meditation. Then there's going to be that long period of time where it's just quiet and we're meditating together. Then we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting. So if you'd like to join, you might pull up a meditation cushion or a chair or anything like that. You can use the seated, lying, standing positions. There is a walking position, but it doesn't usually work out well for online learning. So again, I'll start with chanting, and then I'll be back with the guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivadeyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sambuddho Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanang Oto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the eyes closed, start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหะวาพุทธังมหะวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหะวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสตาตาวามนุสนังโอโตภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Welcome to our class today, whether you're joining for the first time or you're joining regularly. This was a guided breathing mindfulness meditation session, and this is meant to help you cultivate mindfulness or awareness of mind, as well as concentration. These are wholesome qualities that the mind is cultivating as part of the mind's training with meditation. And you're also training your mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment, training the mind to let go, let go, let go. And this is helping you to be able to eliminate all your discontent feelings, which is what the enlightened mind would be experiencing. The enlightened mind would be experiencing the peace, calm, serenity, and contentedness with joy because it's eliminated all its anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings and others are eliminated through eliminating the causes and conditions that are producing it, namely that craving, the desire, the attachment, the longing, the yearning, wanting things to be a certain way. So what I'm going to do is open up to any and all questions that you guys have. If you have questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section. I'll be able to see that. Or if you're in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. Okay, it looks like Yusuf has a question. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, Teacher David. Is my voice clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I would like to ask about when I face a certain situation, then I think about it, then I think that I have reached maybe the truth about this situation, like the solution or the answer, but I am still not sure. Do you think it is better to ask you for confirmation or to just like put my mind in this solution and see if it works or not? What do you think is better?
It's up to you. You can do that however you like. Sometimes students will ask ahead of time in order to confirm before they move forward with practice, or sometimes they'll just move right into practice. There's not just one way to do that.
Okay, so if there is no different, then I will ask for confirmation. I faced a little bit of challenge in understanding how to change the craving into an interest, our goal. For example, yesterday I get in my car and took it out of the garage, then saw a girl in the street. A thought came to my mind saying, let me tell her if she wanted a ride. I don't know the girl, but just to tell her that. Then I said to myself, is this a craving for girls, or is it just like an interest, like in getting to know her or something? So I am not sure if this is an interest or a craving. I can't tell the difference.
How did you end up offering her the ride?
No.
Okay. And when you didn't offer the ride, what feelings came to your mind?
Nothing, I guess.
Nothing?
Yeah, I guess.
If you would have offered her the ride and she would have said yes, what feelings do you think you would have experienced?
The ego will feel happy.
Okay, so if you would have felt happy if she would have accepted your invitation, then yes, it was a craving.
So let's assume that I don't have a craving for girls. Would it be like an interest that I can just tell her to get in the car, then have an interest in getting to know her? That's an interest?
Well, if you're practicing generosity, which that's what that would have been if you would have offered her a ride, that would have been generosity, where you're giving and sharing more than is strictly required in any situation without any expectation of anything in return. That's the mental quality of generosity. And you would like to be able to practice that in all parts of your life frequently. But what you're saying is taking a craving and turning it into an interest. You don't just take a craving and turn it into an interest. You eliminate your craving. You eliminate that. And then what you would have been doing is you would have been making a wise choice to practice generosity.
No, it is not generosity that I wanted to do, but to get to know her, like the interest in getting to know girls, then decide which one is to spend my life with, not generosity. Will that be an interest, or is it still a craving?
No, that's a craving because you wanted something. It wasn't pure generosity.
But an interest is still like maybe need or want or something similar.
An interest is where you're willing to do something, or you're making a decision in a certain direction, but you're not forming your feelings based on that. So that's why I asked you if she would have accepted your ride, what feelings would you experience? And you said, oh, I would have felt happy. Well, if you felt happy because she accepted your ride, that means that there was a conditioned feeling that now she said yes, so now the mind's going to experience happiness. That's a conditional feeling. So that's a craving, desire, attachment. That's not an interest.
Then would you please explain for me how to have an interest in girls instead of cravings for them? I don't know how.
At your age, in what you're interested in doing, you're going to have a craving, desire, attachment. You're not going to be able to start a relationship with a woman who you're interested in potentially making your wife and probably having sexual contact without a craving, desire, attachment. There's going to be craving, desire, attachment there. It's not going to be possible for you to just like, oh, I'm just interested in this person. There's going to be an underlying craving, desire, attachment there.
You mean a craving for sex or a craving for a relationship, like in general?
All of those things and more.
Oh, okay. Is it fine to ask a couple more questions, or the time is limited for you?
There are some other people that have questions. Maybe we can, how many more questions do you have, Yusuf?
I guess two. Yeah, two.
Okay, let's see. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, Okay, so the second question is about I don't know how to produce like a wholesome thought related to being in a relationship with a girl. Like the craving I have for them, I try to eliminate, but there is something that keeps dragging me to have the craving again, which is if I didn't pursue this interest or craving for girls, then I might end up in having like not the girl that I wanted to be. I wanted to live my life with her. Do you understand, or I should put it in another way?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's not going to be possible for you to start a relationship with what we might consider a romantic partner or a life partner without a craving, because that's the underlying thing that's making you wanting to have this relationship. So while it's very admirable of you to try to cut off as much of the craving as you can, and that's really wise, you're going to have craving getting into a relationship like this.
Okay, I think that's enough for me. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, looks like Leo has a question. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Just would like to have a bit clarification here. Today, my mom came to me and said that after work, and she said that she is frustrated about something, and she wants to tell me that because we want to go next December on vacation skiing, and we are like 12 people. And it was difficult for her to find an apartment. She was looking a lot for that, and she found an apartment. But now this woman or this person canceled the apartment. The person who this apartment is for, and she wanted to tell me that. And I thought in this situation that okay, she might have. I think she's in a bad mood. So I was trying to move this conversation to a later point, because I also had to go to the city. So I told her, hey, I would like to go to the city now. Let's talk afterwards. What do you think about this? Is this a good way to do that? Or is it more that if this person is in a bad mood because of me, then I should step away? But if she is in a bad mood because of something else and she needs someone to figure her out or talk with them, is it different?
Well, as you know, that someone can't be in a bad mood because of you. It's their own cravings, desires, attachments. But I think what you mean is like related to you, right? Like related into experiences that you're having with this person. If you're in an experience with this person and they're becoming grumpy and irritable and having a bad mood because of, I don't know, let's just say you left your clothes in your room and your mom wanted you to do the laundry, right? And you didn't do the laundry, and she was getting a bad mood with you because of the laundry that you haven't done. In that situation, it doesn't make sense to talk to her while she's in a bad mood. That it would be unwise. It's better to step away, wait a few days, and then talk another time. If she's in a bad mood because of something else like this, if you would like to help her, you could potentially help her, right? You could say, oh, Mom, you're frustrated because of the holiday planning. Is this something that you would like my help with? And if she says, yes, I would like your help, say, okay, would you like to discuss this and I can help you to understand it? And then she's going to say yes or no. And if she says no, then you say, okay, well, I'm headed off to the city. And, if you need my help, if you ever need my help, just know that I'm here to help you. Right. And if she says, yes, I would like your help, then you could help her. Right. But if you do have something to do and you're leaving, instead of saying, I'm leaving now, I can't talk, one of the best things to do in these kinds of situations, because if their mind is craving and holding on to you, one of the best phrases you can use is something like, hey, Mom, I realize you would like to talk right now. I do need to go somewhere. Would it be okay with you if I step away and I need to go for a couple of hours, but I'll be back later and we could talk later? Would that be okay for you? Right? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get their mind to let go of any potential clinging or craving that they may or may not have. Because you don't know in this situation whether she's really craving to talk to you or not, or clinging. So this is a common phrase that you probably heard me use when you were here in Thailand, that I would check with people like, hey, would this be okay with you if I did it this way? I'm still going to do things my way regardless, but I'm just kind of checking in with this other person to make sure their mind has released so that they don't have the opportunity to get grumpy or irritable because of a craving or clinging being triggered.
Okay. So actually in this, I said to her, I think I would somehow, I don't remember how I said it, but I want to do this in the city. I would do it now, and we can meet afterwards. And but the thing was that it was at the break time. So she told me, "Oh, you can't go there right now because they closed." So then I was in the situation. Okay, so now I will talk with her. So then I sat down with her and we talked, and it actually was okay. But I feel a bit uncomfortable because I was unsure in the situation. I thought she's in a bad mood. She wants to tell me that she's in a bad mood, and I was not sure what is now the best thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I somehow also said a bit like, maybe it's better to talk when we're both in a better mood. Mm-hmm. Then we can figure out or something. But then we talked a bit, and but yeah.
Yeah, this is where there isn't always just like one answer, right? You got to go to this higher consciousness and think through what would be wise. If you're not in a good mood and your mom's not in a good mood, better not to talk and step away, even if mom is feeling miserable, because you didn't cause that and you can't fix it. Mom's got to be able to fix that. So stepping away, you're not harming anybody by choosing to do that. But what I would suggest you do, in your words might be getting lost in translation, because I'm sure you're talking to your mom in German and you're talking to me in English. But based on the way you're describing it in English, I would recommend you soften your language a little bit. Instead of like, I need to go here or I'm going to go here, you need to really kind of soften that a bit, where you're speaking more gentle, where you're watching your tone, tempo, and word choice, where you're saying, Mom, I would like to go to the city. Would it be possible for us to have this conversation another time? Right? This is like a much softer, more gentler way to step away from a conversation where you know your mom's already in a bad mood, right? But then if she's in a bad mood, whether you choose to talk to her or not, or whether you're in a bad mood and whether you choose to talk to her or not, that's where you've got to look at the situation and decide what's best, because you're trying to figure out what is best. Well, if your mind's grumpy and irritable, it's probably not going to go well. So it's better for you to step away. But if your mind's okay, sometimes one of the best things you can do for somebody who is grumpy and irritable is just listen. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. You just listen. You're like, oh, Mom, you're having difficulties? Sure. What would you like to share with me? And you just sit there and you just listen to everything she has to say. And then when she's done, say, okay, is this something you would like my help with? Rather than just stepping in and trying to help her and tell her what she should and shouldn't be doing. After you've listened to her, whether it's 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, you just listen to everything she's experienced, maybe even ask her a few questions about it. And then you say, Mom, is this something you would like my help with? And she's either going to say yes or no. And if she says yes, then you can help her. And if she says no, then just say, okay, because what you've done in that situation is you have helped her just by listening to her and allowing her to get it all out.
If I would say, okay, if I listen to her, and then I say, okay, so let's find out a better way let's find out how we can find another apartment or how we can fix that. Mm-hmm. Or would you said it's better if I ask her, hey.
Yeah, because what you
just say, together we try to find a better way.
Yeah, because that's right away stepping in and giving her a solution when she hasn't asked for that. You would like to not give unsolicited advice. She's telling you like, I scheduled this, I paid the deposit, they canceled, they're refunding the deposit, I can't find another place, she's upset. Rather than just like start throwing solutions at her or tell her that you're going to find a solution for her, you would like, because she's the one who's handling it, you would like to respect her handling this and ask her if she would like your help. Is she interested in your assistance? And then she's either going to say yes or no, because you're not interested in just stepping in and starting to do things without your mom agreeing. Whether it's your mom or anybody else, even if it's just a friend or a coworker, you would like to be sure that this person is welcoming your support and your help.
Okay. Actually, we both were looking for this kind of apartments. She was doing it a bit more than me, but yesterday also we talked about, and we had two different apartments, and we choose this one, which now is cancelled. But it's the same, right? It's the same. I still should ask her, even when I was also involved in this kind of searching and stuff.
Yeah, because the problem that your mom is experiencing is not that the apartment got canceled. You finding her another apartment isn't going to solve her problem, right? That's not the true problem. The true problem is she's having craving, desire, attachment, right? The problem is she's frustrated. The cause of that problem is her craving, desire, attachment. And if you really would like to help mom, this could be an opportunity for you to talk to her about how she's craving permanence and how she's really wanting and expecting this to be a certain way. And if she's not interested in that conversation, best to not have it and just focus on getting her the apartment if that's what she's open to. But you need to allow her to give you the green light in the open door to be able to do this. The last thing you're interested in doing is just stepping in and starting to make decisions for somebody and giving them something that they really aren't interested in you helping them with.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your guidance here.
You're welcome.
Just a small question. Can chronic pain be eliminated to the Buddha's teachings?
In my opinion, the answer is yes, but it really depends on what type of pain and why. Because I used to have a lot of back pain, and it's very minimal now after having trained my mind. I still experience it very rarely, but here and there I experience it. And I know that that was from training the mind. But, if somebody has like a herniated disc, right, and there's pressure between the vertebrae and the spine, you're not going to just eliminate that through training the mind. But what you will be able to do is through training the mind, you won't have that mental anguish that oftentimes goes along with physical pain. So any kind of physical pain that an enlightened being is experiencing, it's very minimal and very muted compared to when they were in the unenlightened state. So they're not going to be able to get rid of their pain 100%, but they will be able to get a better relationship with this pain where it's not so intense because their mind isn't having craving, desire, attachment. Because what happens when you're experiencing physical pain as an unenlightened being is you experience the physical pain, but then because the mind is craving permanent comfort, the mind experiences mental anguish and painful mental feelings because of the physical pain, right? So now the physical pain is heightened because you're not just experiencing the physical pain, you're experiencing the mental pain too. By the time you get to enlightenment, you're only experiencing the physical pain. You don't experience the mental anguish. You know that the pain's there, but you don't have a craving for permanent comfort of the body. So there's no mental anguish whatsoever. It's just a very muted, minimal physical pain. And I think I've shared with you that in 2019, I had a motorbike accident and I cracked my rib. And I got rushed to the hospital on an ambulance. I couldn't move my arm, had all kinds of other problems. They were x-raying me. They kept me in the hospital overnight. They ended up giving me a urinalysis, a drug test, because I was so joyful through the whole experience. Like at the very beginning, within the first 2 hours of being at the hospital, they did a urinalysis on me because they thought that I had been using drugs or alcohol because I was so joyful. When I had this cracked rib, I was supposed to be in pain, in agonizing pain, but I wasn't. So they even brought the police in, and the police talked with me to see if there was any impairment or anything like this. And I thought it was comical. So this is like what you can experience, especially like in a Western world where those doctors and nurses don't understand how the mind can be trained to this point where you can have something as significant as a cracked rib and still be joyful and not be in agonizing pain.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. I would like to ask one more question. It's actually, I just want to make would like to see if the answer I do is the way you would do it, maybe. I think it's not a big thing here, but yeah. It's the sister of my stepfather, which is also interested in Buddhism since 20 years, I think, but more in the Mahayana tradition. And maybe a year before, she heard about me, that I also interested in that, in Buddhism. And so sometimes she was writing me, or I was writing her. She was, yeah. And now she also was written me that she told me that there's a teacher coming from this Mahayana tradition to Germany for 2 weeks. And that is a very successful teacher. And there's a limit where I can book a week with him. I can join his class, but they are really rare, these cards. So she gave me these informations, and also a bit informations what in the first week, what happened, what he will do with us. So I have the perception or feeling that she's interested to show me that. So because I think that I've found my teaching, I'm not so interested in doing that. So I just think what is the best way to answer her? So what I would write is just simple. First, tell her that I'm okay, that I'm good. Thank you for that. I'm coming. I came back to Germany very well, and then I would say thank you for your information. I hope you're fine, or the best, Leo. Is that a good answer, or would you say it's better to say something more like, thank you for the information, I will see if I can make it, let you know, or something like that? Or
no, what you shared was fine. It's short and sweet and to the point, because if you say, no, I'm not going to come, as you've learned in class with me, they're not going to like that. Her mind, because it's unenlightened, she doesn't like that word no, and now she's getting, if she has a craving to get you to come, when she hears that, she's probably going to get frustrated and annoyed and angry, attribute those feelings to you, and now she will probably push you aside. So what you wrote is perfect.
And so thank you for the information, maybe like this.
Yeah.
Smiley and done.
Yeah.
Let's say she will ask more about this. Hey, did you already did it? And stuff like that. What would be I think about that. Maybe there must become a point where I tell her, hey, I think I won't make it.
If she writes you back after this message and is like, hey, did you register? Are you going? Da, da, da. This way, you know that she's craving, because now she's like egging it on. She's like, her mind's longing, yearning for it. And at this point, you're going to need to see what she says and then reply. Rather than right now thinking through what your reply should be. That's what you tend to do when you were here in Chiang Mai. You try to plan out in the future. Don't worry about that. It hasn't happened yet. So wait to see what the response is, if it happens, and then whatever she responds, then you address it at that point. But to try to figure that out now, you don't know if she's going to contact you, when she's going to contact you, what might transpire between now and then. So it doesn't make sense to put your mind so far in the future and try to figure that out now. Just wait to see what happens and then figure it out in the moment using all the factors of the Eightfold Path.
Okay, I just thought that maybe it's good to know. I mean, it sounds simple for me. If she asks more, if I do it, somehow I need to tell her that I won't do it. And I just thought that there is more over explanation what to do in this situation.
I mean, it depends on how far you would like to go with it, right? You could say something like, I know that Mahayana tradition is something that you're really interested in, but based on my experience, it's not the original teachings of the Buddha. There's a lot of rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship, and this isn't something that I'm into. So while I appreciate your offer and you thinking about me, this is something that I wouldn't do because I understand it's not the teachings of the Buddha. And saying something like that can actually help her to realize what the teachings of the Buddha are and that she's involved in something that aren't the actual teachings of the Buddha. But whether you decide to go that far or not and how skillful you are when you do those kinds of things, that's something for you to decide in the present moment. Right now is not the right time to decide that kind of thing because you don't know what's going to transpire between now and then or whether or not she's even going to write you back in that way or not.
Okay. And it sounds for me also a bit like a no, but I think you would disagree with me, but it sounds a bit for me like, oh, he's saying that what he's doing is better than me, than my teachings, or these teachings. What do you think about this? Or is it?
I mean, people can say anything they would like to say. It doesn't make it true, right? That's where you can decide for yourself, like how far you would like to go with it. And it all depends on the type of relationship you have with this person, what kind of conversations you guys have had. So like when Yusuf does this sometimes too, where you guys try to pin me down on like a certain answer, it's not possible to do that because it really has so many variables involved and it's in the future. You can't come up with like a pre-stock answer that's going to like work in every situation. You need to just make the first decision, which you have, which is the first message that you have, and send that out and let it be. And then if she writes you back and you don't know how to reply, or if you need help to confirm your reply like you did this time, get back in touch with me and we'll take it from there. Because from there, we have more information about what she's saying. And that's where I would ask you, like, what's your relationship with this person? You know, what's transpired between now and then? You know, how much would you like to help this person? There's all these kinds of considerations to think about when you're skillfully replying to somebody.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. But at the very least, make sure you're practicing the Eightfold Path, right? Yeah. Okay, so it looks like Kristen or maybe Ted has a question. Go ahead, guys.
I think we both might have a question, but mine is about sort of cultivating like wholesome karma, and what and I just need a little bit of help with sort of understanding it in my mind, and that's for me is creating good karma, like letting go of my cravings, desires, attachments, at the same time trying to create like goodwill or loving kindness for other people. Is that sort of those two elements will kind of create good karma out in the world?
Anytime you would like to produce wholesome karma, it's going to come from the three qualities of generosity or loving kindness and or wisdom. These are the three wholesome roots. And whenever you're making decisions through generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, it's going to produce wholesome results in your life. Whenever you're decreasing or eliminating your craving, anger, and ignorance, that's what's producing the unwholesome karma. If you're working to eliminate those, that's going to be producing wholesome karma for you too, because now you're making decisions through wisdom. So anytime you're making decisions through generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, it's going to always produce wholesome results for you. And so, yes, bringing down your craving, that's going to produce wholesome results for you. That's you making decisions through wisdom. And you're going to be making less and less decisions through craving, anger, and ignorance, because when you're making decisions through craving, anger, and ignorance, it's producing unwholesome karma. So whenever you're arising generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, which part of that wisdom is to eliminate craving, anger, and ignorance, it's going to produce wholesome karma for you.
Okay. And have you, when you're producing good karma in the world, have you witnessed it like literally unfolding in front of you? Because there's been times where I've seen like I've practiced the best I could, and then suddenly it almost seemed like things opened up, and I was wondering if it was because I'd made those choices moments before that this sort of result actually unfolded in front of me, and if I'd made a different choice, I probably wouldn't have experienced what actually did happen. For example, like I was in line at a grocery store and I was waiting to have someone help me. And then there was other people that sort of cut in line, and the gentleman didn't know that I had been waiting and just helped the next person that he saw. And normally I would have gotten like very upset and sort of angry and maybe spoken up and not have maybe spoken in a nice way. I would have been maybe harsh, but I didn't. I just kind of asked myself, it's impermanence and it's okay. Like, just, you can maybe ask in a nice way, like, hey, do you mind if I'm next? I've been waiting for a while. But I didn't even say anything. I just kind of decided not to say a word and just let it go and be patient. And let go of any, irritation that I had. And then just moments later, somebody out of the blue said, ma'am, I can help you. Mm-hmm. And just, I was helped. And it all seemed to work out without me having to get angry or speak up or say anything. It just kind of was like this moment of letting go and being okay and just saying it's okay. Like I can wait just another few minutes. I don't know. It seemed to work out really well.
Yeah, that's wholesome karma.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were practicing generosity in that situation, letting the person go in front of you. You were practicing loving kindness, which is, may this being be well. You have a genuine interest in this being be well. And where those decisions were coming from was your wisdom to not cling and crave, right? So that's always going to produce wholesome karma for you. And that doesn't necessarily mean someone's going to magically open their cashier, right? That's not the way that's going to always happen. But at the very least, even if that didn't happen, at the very least, you would have left the grocery store happier and more cheerful, right? And that's wholesome karma.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a question?
I just have a comment, David. It's pretty mind-blowing how much sense this makes. Not necessarily making it, but it makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
The cause of my discontent and the action of good. I'm going to say karma because the action of that results. It just makes sense. Letting go of my expectations on when I am compassionate or mindful or generous, letting go of wanting that to be reciprocated or acknowledged, that's a different story, but again. So it's not a question, it's just a comment. When we get in conversations like this, I'm just blown away by, man, it makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. The tricky part is to practice it. Well, not tricky, but it takes effort.
Yeah, I was talking with some students this week here in Chiang Mai, and there was a couple of them. And after we were talking at lunch and they were asking me all kinds of questions, we got to the end of our conversation and one of them spoke up and said, it seems like once I understand the teachings of the Buddha, like this path is actually really easy and really straightforward and very simple. Is that true, David? And I was like, absolutely. It's very simple. Like if you ask any question, that's why I can just answer it so easily because it's so simple. But because the mind lacks the wisdom to get to that point where it is simple, it's a lot of work. In the way that I relate it and describe it is like upgrading your operating system. If you were around on PCs back when it was like Windows 3.1 and everybody migrated to like Windows 95 back in 1995, right? Like people were like, where did they put all the icons? Where's the settings? For like a month or two, because I was working in help desk. I was working in IT support back then. And people were like really up in arms about Windows 95 and people were complaining about it and downing it even before it was released. People were really upset about it. But then after about a month or two, when people got familiar with Windows 95, everybody thought it was the best thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, this is like the best operating system. Why didn't they do this a long time ago? But that transitionary process of getting from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95 was really hard for people. And it's the same thing here. It's like the mind's on unenlightened 1.0. That's the version of software that the mind's on. And you've got to incrementally upgrade to Enlightenment 9.0. Right? And it's a challenge to get up to that new operating system. But once you get on that new operating system, oh my goodness, life is so easy and so straightforward. But it's just learning that wisdom, internalizing it, applying it in day-to-day life, and seeing how it just works so much better, because it is so simple at its core. And that's what makes it so profound, is that it is so simple. And when you apply it, it works.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Looks like Leo has some more questions, so go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Also, a question about karma, a random question. Many Nazis were not prosecuted after the Third Reich. Some of them were even offered a high position in the politics, for example. But when I understand it right, then these people still were experiencing their karma. You say that there is not, we cannot really say what karma they experience, but they will have unwholesome karma because of that. Maybe in the next life, how I can understand it, because of course, at first seems like, oh, these people they are really lucky. They maybe were involved in bad things when they were Nazis, but afterwards they got higher positions in the politics. The people needed them because they had knowledge, and they got old, and nobody. Many of them weren't prosecuted. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so the court of law is not the natural law of karma 100%. That's a human law, and human laws are imperfect. They're never going to be perfect because human beings are involved, making all kinds of errors and mistakes. They're making decisions through craving, anger, and ignorance. So these laws can't be created, administered, and enforced fairly and equally among all people. But the natural law of karma is unbiased. You're going to experience the results of your decisions regardless. So you can't run and hide from the results of your decisions. So while these individuals might have gotten government positions in a new government, that doesn't mean they didn't have guilt and shame and fear. That doesn't mean they didn't have other issues that people didn't see. Like, okay, you got a position in the government. That's not necessarily the best thing in the world. And yes, there is rebirth. There is other lives to be able to experience this karma. There's all these kinds of things, but you can't run and hide from your karma. And you remember when I've taught this in class about like the murderer, I use the example of like a murderer, that the bloody murder weapon is under their bed, the blood is all over their car, the bloody footprint is at the murder scene, but yet they go to court and found not guilty. Okay, they didn't go to jail. That's the human law, and that can't be administered fairly amongst all people. But they're still experiencing a bad reputation in the community. They're having a loss of wealth. They're having difficulties finding employment, difficulties finding housing. They're having difficult relationships with other people, because if they have enough craving, anger, and ignorance to kill a human being, it's not like all the rest of the relationships are perfect. They have all kinds of difficulties in their other relationships too. So there's all kinds of consequences. It's not just going to jail that is determining whether or not you're experiencing your karma or not. There's a whole host of other aspects of what they experience as part of having participated in making decisions that are leading to unwholesome results. So if somebody was part of Nazi Germany, and let's just say they killed a significant number of Jewish people, they had to have a certain amount of craving, anger, and ignorance to do that. And they're going to experience the results of having done that. And you're not necessarily going to be there to see it when it's happening, but they're going to experience it. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, for me, it would be also interesting, for example, if a person kills someone with their bare hands, they are right. This is, I can imagine that this person might have a lot of guilt afterwards. And a person, for example, Nazi, who because of him, millions of Jews died, but he didn't do it by his own act, right? He just ordered, told these people, soldiers, hey, kill all this village or whatever. Where's the difference in this karma? I mean, both have guilt, but the one person did it by their hands. Will there be a difference?
Even if both people killed with their own hands, there can be a difference. This is the discourse that the Buddha gives on the lump of salt. Okay, so let's just say we have a lump of salt. The lump of salt represents the unwholesome karma. And there's one bowl of water, and you put this lump of salt in the bowl of water. Is the water still drinkable? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So you have this big lump of salt, and you put this lump of salt in a bowl of water. Is the bowl?
No.
It's not drinkable, right? If you take that same lump of salt and you put it into a river, is that water still drinkable?
Yeah.
Right. So the water represents the wholesome karma that someone has done in the past. So if you've got someone who is, say, addicted to drugs, stealing, shoplifting, stealing cars, robbing banks, committing all these offenses, and now let's just say they steal a candy bar from 7-Eleven, that person is going to experience the karma of stealing that candy bar very different than this other person who's an upstanding citizen in the community and who has produced all kinds of wholesome karma, and now they steal a candy bar. So both people stealing a candy bar, they're going to experience this karma very differently. The lump of salt is the same, but the amount of wholesome karma that they've generated in the past is different. That's the bowl of water versus the river. So you can't take a situation where you say, this person ordered the killing, this person actually did the killing, what's the difference in their karma? You can't say, because they're going to experience it differently. Even if they did exactly the same act, they're going to experience it differently. And this is where not only does the Buddha give this discourse, but he says, if you tried to understand the exact result of your karma, if you tried to understand the exact result of karma, it would lead to madness or frustration. So we can generally understand that, and the Buddha shares this, that if you repeatedly kill over and over and over again, you're going to have a shorter lifespan. And the reason why we know that is because we can look at it and see for ourselves. In situations where people repeatedly kill, they tend to have a shorter lifespan. And where this comes from is that if you're out there killing, people are going to be interested in killing you. But also, there's a certain amount of stress and anxiety in the mind of someone who's repeatedly killing. And now that puts pressure on the lungs, the heart, the other organs. And now this person's going to live for a shorter period of time because they have more stress and anxiety and difficulties within their own mind, because the mind's the boss, the body's the employee. So when you're trying to delineate it down to this level of detail that you're trying to talk about, if you continue down this path, the Buddha shares that it would lead to madness or frustration.
Okay, just try to figure out that if someone is doing something more worse than another one, let's say this person, it's the same person. There's this one option, he killed someone with his bare hands. There's another option, he hasn't killed one with his own bare hands, but he ordered to kill 1 million of Jews, for example. If there would be, it's just interest. If this person, one person would get, I say, more unwholesome karma because of his action. Because also when I think, for example, I had times in my life where I was really stressed, feel really stressed, had a lot of anxiety. I never killed someone or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that could be also bad for my heart and for my thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas there the difference, even this other person killed someone, and because of that he has this stress and anxiety. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these kind of questions is interesting.
Can I give you some personal guidance here, even though we're in a public class? You're okay with that?
Okay.
Okay. So this is something that you and I have talked about in the past, where typically you'll ask a question. I will then answer it. Then you just repeat the same thing that you've already said. And my answer is the same. but you didn't internalize what I said the first time. You didn't really perhaps listen or internalize or understand it. And now you're circling back with the exact same thing that you asked before. And this is like a pattern that you normally do, is like you'll ask a question, I'll answer it, then you'll ask the same exact thing again, but I've already answered it. So you need to be able to listen with what I'm sharing so that you can internalize it and think about it and reflect on it, rather than just come back with the same exact thing again.
Okay.
Do you remember we talked about this?
Any exact thing, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because the answer is the same, right? It's the lump of salt, right? The karma is always going to be experienced differently by different people, and the exact result of karma, if you tried to understand that, it would lead to your madness or frustration. So you got to be able to listen to the answer that the teacher is giving, and then internalize that, learn that, reflect on it, think about it, and then follow up with some additional questions if you need clarification on the answer that I provided.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to ask one other question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a bit struggling with my cravings about food. And what I just did, because normally in the morning I eat oatmeal muesli, and I put there apple and banana and milk. I think I know the answer, but I just did it now. Just ate the oat milk, the oatmeal muesli with water. Of course, it doesn't taste good. And I ate separately a bit apple and banana. I think this is a good way to do that, right? Yeah.
If you're noticing that you think you're attached to the combination of that and the flavor that's involved, then yeah, you can separate it out like that to train the mind that the purpose of this food is not to please the tongue and please the mind. The purpose of this food is to nourish the body. So you would like to be able to get to the point where you can eat food for the purpose of nourishing this body, and it's not to please the tongue. Once you get rid of your sensual desire and you know that it's not there anymore, and you notice that you're not discontent around food, you can go back to eating any kind of foods. Like you see that when you were here, like sometimes I think you asked me this while you were here, is like, David, why do you eat carrot cake? Or why do you eat chocolate cake? Isn't that a sensual desire? Well, at one time it was. I used to eat a lot of that stuff, but I went probably a good 1 year without eating any sweets and desserts at all in order to train my mind to let it go. And then I slowly kind of introduced it back in as I started deciding that, yes, my mind's no longer attached to this. So what you're doing is fine to be able to train your mind to look at food as just something to nourish the body, but you don't have to always do it that way. You would like to do it that way for a good long period of time to train your mind to eliminate sensual desire related to food. But then ultimately you'll be able to eat food that tastes enjoyable. But then also when you eat this other food that doesn't have the same taste, you can still be completely fine with that too. You'll know that this food tastes really wonderful and this food doesn't, but the mind is not affected by it. You can still eat it and be just fine.
Okay. So best is I do it maybe for a year or for some months until I realize, okay, no problem eating that, just nourishing the body. Yeah.
Exactly. You shouldn't notice any discontentedness when you're eating the food the way you prefer for it to be, or when you eat it some other way. You shouldn't notice any discontentedness, whether it's conditioned pleasant feelings, painful feelings, or neither painful nor pleasant.
Okay. And what I also realized is when I eat the apple separately, actually through all my life, sometimes I eat an apple, but I know that I don't really like apples so much. Often someone gives you an apple, here's an apple, it's healthy, so you eat an apple, right? But always I think, it's not the best taste for me. So if I would do it now, separately, just eat the apple, I put myself in the situation. But I think you once said also that if I try something more often, I will like it in the future. But I'm not sure if this is possible with apples, because I already eat it my whole life. Sometimes.
Yeah. So with your breathing mindfulness meditation and with your generosity, training your mind to let go of your craving, desire, attachment, that's going to be gradually working to eliminate that. Then when you see certain cravings like this, where your craving is having you push something away, that's repulsion or aversion, those are the things you would like to bring into your life and actually eat. Right now, you don't like them, and all throughout your life, you haven't liked them because you haven't trained your mind to eliminate this craving. But now, with the breathing mindfulness meditation and the generosity and all the other factors on the Eightfold Path, you're training your mind to eliminate its craving. And now, every so often, you would like to expose the mind to this flavor of the apple so that now it can get rid of its craving and just see this apple as something to nourish the body. Because I used to be the same way. I used to not like apples too. And I had to eat them quite a bit in order to train my mind that it's just food to nourish the body. But it's not going to happen in just 1 week or 1 month necessarily, because you need to build up and accumulate enough benefits from the breathing mindfulness meditation and the generosity to train your mind to let go. And then you're going to need to expose the mind to the apple over multiple situations until the mind has an opportunity to let it go. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't see apples as being something that you favor or oppose. It'll just be, it's just an apple. I can eat this apple, I can eat this orange, I can eat this pear, I can eat this banana, and it's all the same to me.
I have a taste there. I see the different tastes, but it's just...
You'll notice that it has a different taste, but there isn't going to be a craving, desire, attachment for one versus the other, and you won't be repulsed by any particular taste. You'll be able to have any particular taste to hit the tongue, and the mind will be completely content and peaceful.
Yeah, thank you, David, for the answers.
Yeah, you're welcome. Looks like Kristen and/or Ted has another question.
David, I do. I have a question about just, I think Leo kind of sparked it in my mind a little bit, and that's how to kind of counter, you know, I've lived my life years old. I've created bad karma. I've made some bad decisions in my life. But I think for the most part, like I generally try to be a good person in the world. But those times that I've made bad decisions that probably I know that have created unwholesome karma for myself, is there a way to sort of like, I mean, it's happened, I made those decisions, it's out in the world, but is it almost like you can counter it by or reducing it over time, that sort of unwholesome karma that was created by creating the wholesome karma? Like the more, like you said earlier, like the river is, you know, if you create more good karma than bad, then it's maybe less experienced. So do I just keep trying to cultivate good karma? It's like sort of the question. Yeah,
that's what you do from this point forward, is you're always trying to produce wholesome karma, but understanding your mind still has pollutions. So you're going to create some unwholesome karma between now and enlightenment. It's going to happen. But you would like to produce as much wholesome karma as possible. But any unwholesome karma you've created in the past, you can't negate that. That whatever that unwholesome karma is, you will experience it before you get to enlightenment. But now when it's coming back to you, you're extinguishing it, you're eliminating it, versus making new karma that would be unwholesome. You're now, this old unwholesome karma that's coming back to you, you're burying it, you're extinguishing it by producing only wholesome karma that is new. So by you producing more and more and more and more new wholesome karma, that's going to be great for you because you're making your water bigger and bigger and bigger. But any kind of decisions that you've made in the past that are going to come back to you, you're going to experience those. There's just no way to hide from it. And you have already been experiencing those things.
I have, definitely. Like, yeah.
So you've already been experiencing, but now the difference is now you have teachings on board of how to extinguish it rather than to allow it to keep going on and on and on.
Gotcha. Okay. So that makes sense because I've experienced the unwholesome karma that I've created. And so I understand. Okay. And as those things come up, if they do, if they haven't been extinguished, then I have a chance to do that in the future. Okay, good.
Right. That's why. That's why it's so important. Sorry. As I was talking to Leo earlier, is just to be in the present moment and just deal with things that are in the present moment, rather than worrying about the future and what his aunt might say to him. That's like wrapping the mind around too much in the future. Just be in the present moment. Make the wise decision in the present moment, which is to send this message. And then whatever happens from that, you've practiced the 5 factors of well-spoken speech. That message isn't going to produce any unwholesome karma. But now if they write you back, now it's a new message, a new situation, a new point in time. So now look at that and figure out what you would like to do in this situation. So any unwholesome karma that's coming back to you, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be looking out for it. You don't have to be fearful of it. Just whenever something comes back, you look at it and you figure out, okay, what do I need to do to extinguish this? And now through these teachings, you extinguish it. And then where you have difficulties doing that, that's where you reach out to someone like me and say, hey, this is what happened. I'm trying to extinguish this. This is what I'm thinking about doing. How does this sound to you? And then now you can be assured that you're extinguishing that unwholesome karma.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then my last question is, and I think I know the answer. I have been off social media for long time. Like I've never really liked it. And it's now become, I'm attached to not using it. And I don't like it. I have no desire to be involved in it. I like completely. And so Ted actually said to me the other day, maybe you're attached to being unattached to social media and maybe you should start using it a little bit. And immediately I was like, oh God, no, I have no, like, I don't want to, like, I don't like it. Do you think I should just to extinguish some of that? Because I hate it. I think it's like a terrible thing.
Yeah. So that's the aversion. So there is a total
aversion to it.
Yeah, there's a craving there. But see, the way that you can use social media is you don't have to use it the way like maybe someone else might be on it, hour upon hour, posting about everything and anything that's going on in your life. You could open up a username, put a little flower there. You don't have to put your picture. Put a little flower or a rainbow or some birds or something like that. And now just get on there like maybe once or twice or 3 times a week for 10, 15 minutes and just kind of look around and look at a couple of things. You don't even have to make any posts yourself. Just kind of look at a few things. Just expose the mind and desensitize it to being repulsed by it. That's all you really need to do. You don't even need to use your real name, truthfully. You can just get on it and just kind of look around and realize that this thing isn't harmful and you don't have to hate it. You don't have to be repulsed by it. And this will help to train your mind to let go of that craving that's causing the repulsion.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Husband gave you some good advice there. That's one of the nice things about having a partner that is also practicing the teachings is you guys can support each other and encourage each other along the path, and sometimes you'll be able to help each other in these ways. But it's always nice to confirm with a teacher too, so that was wise as well. All right, so I'm going to end class here by just thanking everybody for joining. Thank you for your interest in the teachings. Thank you for deciding to learn and practice today. As you guys have questions, you're always welcome to reach out and let me know. Over the next couple of weeks, we have a bunch of things that are going on Saturdays and Sundays. Of course, we have our Pali Canon English study group and then the group learning program. This Sunday, we've got the retreat that's going to be starting. It's it's developing a life practice to attain the first stage of enlightenment. It's everything that you would need to be able to get to the first stage of enlightenment. So this is a really helpful retreat. And of course, I'm going to be live streaming it. It's going to be recorded. So the first 2.5 days is essentially like all the foundational teachings. But then the last 2.5 days is all the specific teachings that an individual would need to be able to get to that first stage of enlightenment. So that's an option for people who are looking to get into that kind of content at this point. And then we have other various things that are happening. You can see our schedule. If you go to our website, we have this great new thing that shows the entire calendar month by month by month by month of every single class, every single learning opportunity that we have. You guys can see it on our website. Next week on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing loving kindness meditation with students and then just opening up to any and all questions that you guys have. So thank you again for joining, and perhaps we'll see you guys in a future class. Be well and take care. Sawadee ka.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.